the first thing that I really wanted to talk to everyone about is pretty much the order out of chaos agenda that is unfolding in political dichotomy in the United States right now. Because if you look online, if you're paying attention to the online verse of what everyone's talking about, you just see a lot of insane, irrational, hyperbolic nonsense absolutely everywhere. And a lot of this has been spurred up because of the major tech companies censoring InfoWars and also other people as well. This has spurred a lot of very interesting discussion, but also ultimately destructive discussion with people even like H3H3 being targeted as they were doing a live stream just talking about Alex Jones, where they were automatically given a strike and revoked their ability to even have their live stream. Now, if you don't know about H3H3, they're pretty much a satirical kind of mainstream YouTube channel that pretty much is popular because of their self-deprecation. I personally like their humor. I loved when they protected the humongous guy, a dad who made a simple dad's joke at a city council meeting and had people just erupt in madness and craziness around him and try to ruin his life. H3H3 did really good coverage of that. And if you ever have some time, I definitely recommend you check out H3H3 and Humongous. You type that into YouTube, you'll see a lot of incredible content that H3H3 was making. But interestingly, during their live stream, they were actually making an argument against Alex Jones and some of the craziness that he has been putting out there throughout the years. And then midway through their broadcast, bam, shut. Because of this crazy YouTube algorithm that the YouTube creators have to deal with. Not, of course, H3H3, which has millions of subscribers, was able to directly contact YouTube. YouTube apologized and took back that strike against them, and now they have the right to go again and have a live stream. But it just shows you how just quickly and automated everyone is set into just shutting down discourse, no matter what your position is. And that is only increasing. As we saw this week, Twitter suspend not only the Proud Boys and all of their accounts and all of the people associated with Proud Boys, but also the founder of the Proud Boys, Gavin Mcinnes, who was also a founder of Vice, shut down and banned their entire accounts from Twitter because of, quote, violating the terms of services on inciting violence. And if you look at the headlines that played throughout the mainstream media, the headlines were Twitter suspends Proud Boys and founder Gavin Mcinnes accounts ahead of the Unite the Right rally. Of course, these are two rallies that we saw play out, unfold today in Washington, D.C. and yesterday in Charlottesville. And what's really interesting is that one of the last tweets that Gavin Mcinnes put out there is that he has nothing to do and won't even go near the alt-right and the Unite the Right protest that is organized by Jason Kessler, which he called a DNC operative, since Jason Kessler previously worked with Occupy Wall Street. So Gavin Mcinnes clearly made his situation, made everyone aware of his situation, that he was disavowing and not going to the Unite the Right, but this still didn't stop a lot of media outlets going out there and saying, well, this is because of the Unite the Right thing. And this, again, if Twitter's going to ban and suspend people, they would have to ban and suspend everyone. There's numerous instances where they're mostly going after political people. But I think there's also a bigger agenda here. This is the kind of order out of chaos kind of dichotomy that I want to explain to everyone. Because if we look, Antifa still has a voice on the platform. There's over 80 Antifa accounts on the platform. The Westboro Baptist Church still has a platform. Richard Spencer still has a platform on Twitter. But Gavin Mcinnes is banned for inciting violence. And sure, I mean, if you look at the Proud Boys, they are a nationalistic, Western chauvinistic organization. They have defended themselves. They have acted violently before, like other organizations as well. To me, when I think of Gavin Mcinnes, the only thing I think of is when he's putting butt plugs up his you-know-what. He's known for being a hyperbolic guy. He's known for definitely being out there, to say the least. But this does kind of make a lot of people wonder, why does Richard Spencer, the Westboro Baptist Church, and Antifa still have a platform? And it shows you the kind of bigger political play that's being made here. I mean, we even saw with people like Candace Owens and even others mimic this. They started copying the tweets of people like the New York Times new hire, Sarah Young, and they started retweeting it and changing different names. And some people even said a lot of the racist things that leftist people said and just copied them and pasted them into Twitter. And the people on the right were banned from it and censored for it, and the people on the left weren't, which shows clearly that this is very political with what's happening with all the latest censorship efforts. And again, Twitter's trying to save face with this, with them just saying that they're planning to draft a policy on dehumanizing speech. And in reality, what they're talking about is creating a policy paper on how to get out of business. Because if you look online, especially in this comment section that we have on our own YouTube channel, it's all dehumanizing speech. This is a big part of the internet, and seeing it used as a bigger ploy for just politics, censoring people in the bigger public sphere, is just utterly disgusting. And the hypocrisy does need to be called out. And I think it is happening for a new reason. And the people in the establishment and people within the media are smelling blood. Just like Will Chamberlain tweeted, the editor-in-chief of The Verge is even suggesting that Fox News should be taken off air and censored for their views. Sure, I disagree with people like Gavin, like Alex Jones, and even Fox News, but deplatforming them ultimately is just creating a society of classroom snitches that are throwing temper tantrums, trying to get their way, trying to dominate the political discourse. But in their kind of pursuit of power, what they're doing ultimately is giving rise to these people at the same time. And we saw that with Alex Jones this week, because with the establishment tech company censoring him, they just gave his ideas, which are pro-government, fear-mongering, divide and conquer, a bigger platform and more credibility than before. If you look at his website numbers are skyrocketing. There's a reason he has one of the top apps in the Apple App Store right now, in the Android store right now, because the more you try to censor it, the more you promote it. And that's exactly what we saw today in Washington, D.C., with just insane people being promoted with national media coverage, as we saw a picture of this crazy man, Jason Kessler, with all the media attention exactly on him because of all the people trying to stop him. And again, the media establishment is really not only digging their own grave, but they're such hypocrites that it's very, very difficult to ever take them seriously. Right now, there's about 70 news organizations coming together to launch a uniform attack on Donald Trump for, quote, attacking the media. And yes, Donald Trump has said some hyperbolic things, has raised tensions between people and the media. But if we look at things, especially with the way that they unfolded within just this last week, if you look at what happened in Portland, it was a local Oregonian reporter who had a bottle smashed over his head by left-wing protesters. If you look at what happened in Berkeley, it was a journalist who was threatened, who was saying to get back because the cops here are not here and they won't help you. Even yesterday in Charlottesville, we saw protesters, mainly from the left, attacking an NBC News reporter. And what's really interesting about this case is that this attack by leftist protesters on journalists, it's not really being highlighted, to the point where people actually went after Brian Stetler of CNN today, to the point where he actually had to come out and surprisingly denounced this unacceptable behavior by protesters in Charlottesville and actually finally called it out, which was predominantly done because of all the people pressuring him, because he's one of the leading front runners saying Trump is bad for saying bad things about journalists. And NBC even ignored the fact that their own reporter and crew were assaulted by left-wing protesters. So that just shows you the dichotomy that's happening there, and the bigger kind of political agenda that they're pushing there, ultimately shooting themselves in the foot, creating chaos. And the chaos is self-evident with the more you start looking into all these events and everything that's unfolding. You look at right now, NPR is being criticized and attacked for interviewing Jason Kessler, the organizer, again, white supremacist who organized today's Unite the Right 2 rally. They're getting viciously attacked. Meanwhile, Vice, that embedded with Unite the Right, the original one that actually happened, that embedded with a lot of the hyperbolic racist speakers, they won Peabody Awards. They were welcomed from doing so. So what we're seeing right now is just the ultimately smashing of dialogue, hypocrisy, and there's even just the conversation nationally is just becoming more and more dangerous. As we saw even today in Washington, D.C., a sign saying it takes bullets to bash fash. And with the conversation growing, a lot of people who are not associated with fascism or the right are being accused of that. Whether it's Tim Pool, Sargon Avocad, even myself, we've been accused of being fascist. We're not. So what's happening here is this hyperbolic tension is only being intensified, and it's being intensified specifically by the media. And what they're doing here is they're creating this chaos. They're fomenting this kind of hyperbolic tensions, giving it rise, promoting it, pushing it. Ultimately, with this chaos, they're going to try to come in and bring in the order. And their order, of course, is we are the authority. You better listen to us. We know what's right for you. Look at all these crazy people infighting. Don't look at what we're doing. Don't hold us responsible for all the corrupt, evil, horrible things we did. Just keep fighting each other, which keeps fomenting, which keeps building, which only brings on more censorship, more destruction of an actual real conversation, to the point where it's detrimental to even engage in conversation. I'm looking at these things. I'm looking online, and I'm like, I don't even want to be a part of this. I don't want to talk. I'm here trying to meditate, trying to calm down, feeling like this is absolute madness, what's happening. And the flames are only being more engulfed. The divide and conquer agenda is only becoming more prevalent in our day, in our society. And rational voices no longer have a platform because the idiots have dominated it, and the idiots have been pushed to be on the national stage, just like today in Washington, D.C. And to me, this all needs to end. And it ends with you guys not giving those guys any attention, with you guys moving to alternative social media platforms like Steemit, like BitChute, and there's a whole slurry of other ones that we participate in, with the links directly in the description of this video. And we need to support voices that are not calling for civil war, that are not calling for a race war, that are not trying to foment this bigger conflict, and really engage in the bigger issues that we all have facing in front of us that actually bring us together. And that agenda is definitely not going to be highlighted by the mainstream media, which is just making these flames so much worse.